as a man who left an incredible impact on the University of Arizona. And I just wanted to mention personally my thoughts and the Arizona football thoughts go out to his family, friends, and students. Obviously a tough time for the university and for Dr. Meixner and his family. As it goes to the football game itself, we have a great challenge ahead of us. We have a team that is averaging over 50 points a game. We have a team, I think we're the only team in college football that is playing back-to-back top 10 teams. We could be the only team in college football that have done that all year long. I don't think that has happened yet, where a team has played back-to-back top 10 teams. And on our schedule has back-to-back undefeated teams sitting here at week 5, 6, and 7. And we have a fantastic opportunity to go to the Coliseum and to play really good football against a really good football team. And it's a team that came off a battle against Colorado last week. And I think that is an indication of how good the Pac-12 is. And that every single week, there's going to be challenge after challenge after challenge that we're all going to have to face in terms of who we're playing and how we play. And if you don't play well in the Pac-12, you're going to wind up losing games by a lot. If you play well, you still might lose a game, but you're going to have a great battle on our hands. And that's what's going on right now within the conference. We have a great number of teams that are competing at a very high level. I don't think we're getting nearly the respect we should be getting across the country, but it is what it is. And as we're sitting here in our program, we've lost 2 games by a combined 14 points, one in which in overtime and one in which against the top 5 team. And I would say that that is a really good start to a season where we know that we've got 7 great battles ahead of us moving forward. So excited about this opportunity, as I said, to go back to LA. I don't know the next time we'll be playing in Los Angeles. I hope we'll be able to play in Los Angeles often, as I believe it's great for college football and it's great for our program, the way we recruit. But what I do know is that we'll be playing 6, 7 games in the state of Arizona every year. And that is a lot closer than what a lot of other teams will be traveling to around the country. So we are excited about that part for our California people and our Arizona people and our recruits moving forward. So that is what's ahead of us. A couple other notes. I know that we have 2 more games. We have the 7:30 kickoff, and then we have the 4 o'clock kickoff the following week. So we'll have another late arrival this coming Saturday night, but we will be back on it Sunday. And then Monday night, we'll be having Bowling with Brewski. And it'll be an opportunity for our fans to be able to interact with our players. And Teddy Bruschi will be in town next week, along with Ricky Hunley will be at the bowling event. And it'll be a great opportunity for our guys to receive some NIL opportunities in that regard.
Start with Justin and then Mike.
What is the status of Jaden this week?
No change at this point from a few days ago. He took 7-on-7 reps yesterday and took individual reps yesterday. So I guess I would say it's more hopeful than last week at this point in time. After Wednesday's practice, last Wednesday he didn't participate in the practice at all. He was off to the side. This Wednesday he participated in 7-on-7 and in Indy. So we'll see what today brings, and we'll see if we get any closer to being able to play. We're preparing both quarterbacks to play to start, and meeting with both of them, going through the game plan with both of them. And Noah has been taking the majority of the team reps at this point. But as I've said, Jaden has had 32 starts under his belt, so he could take less reps and still be prepared.
Michael and David.
Following up on what you were saying regarding recruiting, after this year, you can't tell the parents of kids from Southern California that will be playing the game in your city every year. Is that something that you have to kind of work around? Is that in any way like a detriment or liability to this whole situation?
Well, I mean, it's been, over the course of the years, you'd play one game there, right? So it'd be a 1-game differential. What I would say is you have the ability to still drive from Southern California here and get here in about 6-7 hours. Be able to watch your son play 7 times based on the fact that the team up north and us are both in the Big 12. So that rivalry will continue. That game will continue. So we'll either have 7 home games or not, or 6 home games and 1 over there. I would say that I think it's an advantage for us that we're still going to be playing. When you start looking at the other games, you still have Utah available, Colorado available, all easy flights from California, and you have the games in Texas. And there'll be a significant amount of games in Texas with the 4 teams in the conference there. Very different than, having to fly all over the Midwest and the Northeast to go to road games. Very different than the weather opportunities or the weather that you could end up getting delays, flight issues, all the things that occur. So I think for sure, if you're from Southern California, going to Arizona was the way to go.
With David and then Troy.
From an alumni, 2 questions, Jeff. From an alumni standpoint, though, do you identify potential games against USC and UCLA as games you want early in your schedule moving forward? And then second question, this was the first time that Noah had to go through the post-start evaluation phase. How did you like the way he attacked that and handled your thoughts on criticism and changes?
Yeah, to answer the first question, I would love to play UCLA or USC or San Diego State, Cal, Stanford every year if we could get that done. If we could find a way to make that the non-conference Power 5 game. I think that would be fantastic to be able to do that. Those are challenging because of everybody's scheduling and how that works and how football is so different than basketball that our schedule, I went on Wikipedia the other night and I saw that we have like games scheduled for 2033 or something to that effect. But I'm hopeful that we'll be able to make that happen. I'm hopeful maybe we could play some games at SoFi. Maybe do something like that. I think that would be an amazing opportunity. Use our connections with the Rams and see if we could do something there. So that would be number 1. Yes, that would be fantastic. Number 2, it is different. It is different when you go into a game when the game is out of hand, one way or the other. The evaluation post-game is very fast, usually one way or the other. So whether Noah went in against Utah a year ago or whether he went against NAU this year or whatever it might have been, the evaluation at that point in the game is pretty quick. Now he's sitting there and he's evaluated on a 77-play game where it was a 31-24 game where he wound up throwing, I believe, 38 passes or something to that effect. And we would, it's a lot more stringent grading. You look at exactly, now you're sitting there and you're no longer in that backup seat where you're watching and kind of saying, oh yeah, Jaden's drop wasn't really good there, or yeah, I wouldn't have thrown it there, or, whatever it might have been. You wind up now you're being told, we need to correct your drop here, or we need to change your read here. And he's been fantastic, absolutely as coachable as anybody I've ever coached, willing to learn, willing to work on his craft, and really willing to take all of the coaching from all week long of what we were able to show him and all the practice reps he got Tuesday and Wednesday, and be able to really try to help him become a better quarterback for this Saturday night.
Troy and then Justin.
When you look at the defensive side of the ball, I think you said the number 30 for Washington is kind of where you wanted to hold them, and you achieved that goal. You guys have a goal in mind this weekend against USC.
Yeah, I think you want to always sit in that range. When you're playing these, I believe they're the top 2 offenses in college football, or 2 of the top 4 offenses in college football. And we're not talking about after week 1 or 2 anymore. We're talking about after, through week 6 that they're sitting in those statistical areas. You got to keep your points down. You got to get one more point than they do. However that happens, whatever the goal is going to be there to get that done. And we're not afraid to try to outscore somebody offensively. And we're also not afraid to try to hold them down to a certain number and see if we can get one more point higher than they can. So we're going through it this week. We're working on our preparation, working on our game plan, working on figuring out the best way to win the football game. And to do that, it's going to come down to playing great defense. It's going to come down to taking the football away. It's going to come down to not having long, tedious drives on their side of the ball. And it's going to come down to probably scoring on 67 to 70% of the drives on offense.
Justin, and then our last question with Michael.
I feel like we ask you this every week, but what is it going to take for you guys to get off to a better start in the first quarter?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I would say that, you look at the games, and we've talked about it, right, over and over. We scored the first drive against NAU. The second drive, we got stopped on downs. Quarter's over. Next week, we threw 3 interceptions against Mississippi State, and they drove the ball on all 3 drives. One time we punched it out on the 5. The other 2 times they scored touchdowns. Then we scored a touchdown to make it 14-7. The third week, they had the ball. We got stopped. And then we wound up scoring a touchdown. It started in the first quarter, but the touchdown didn't happen until the second quarter. The fourth week, it started in the first. I mean, these have happened now. Last week, we got the ball to start the first quarter on the third possession with 34 seconds left, and then we scored. So we didn't score at the end of the first quarter, but we got the ball in the first quarter and scored. So we can't turn it over. We've had 6 turnovers in the first quarter. If we don't turn it over, we've scored 4 touchdowns when we've had the ball in the first quarter. It's just when we've gotten it. So 3 of the touchdowns, we've gotten the ball in the first quarter, but we didn't score until the second quarter of that drive. We've had long drives. We've had a 13-play drive, an 11-play drive that have been the touchdowns. Remember, Stanford was a really long drive. I think it was like 15 plays. And last week was a really long drive, both of which started in the first quarter, both of which ended in the second. So I would love for us to get off the field, not have an 8-minute defensive drive, 8-minute drive like what happened last week, where we had a 3 and out on offense, and then we went 8 minutes on defense. Then we went 3 and out, and then we went 5 minutes on defense, and then we scored to make it 14-7. So ideally, we get a stop. Ideally, we get a score, or ideally, we get a score, and ideally, we get a stop. But it's a 60-minute game, and our goal is to make sure that at the end of the game, we find a way to be 1 point higher.
What are the most impressive traits about Caleb Williams?
What isn't impressive, right? I mean, everything's impressive about the guy. He looks the part. He has a great arm. He has a great feel. He understands the RPO game. He understands the quick game. He understands the vertical game. He throws the ball on the move just as well as he throws the ball in the pocket. He's strong, so it doesn't take one guy to get him down. He has great conscience for the ball. I believe it's like 24 touchdowns, 1 interception, 26 touchdowns, whatever his numbers are. He's only thrown 1 interception on the year. So you got great conscience for the ball, and you are able to do everything he can with the ball. He is a challenge, and that's why he won the Heisman.
Last question to Michael.
I have 2. I'll ask them one at a time. Justin Flo didn't play all that much against Washington, I guess.
Yep.
Probably because of the scheme or the type of way that they play offensively. He gets using that dollar package a lot. How can you kind of get him involved a little bit more, especially since he's seen you play pretty well?
Yeah, he got hurt against Stanford, and we thought we'd be able to play through some of it, but he wasn't able to practice Tuesday and Wednesday. And then what we did in the dollar package, along with him not being able to practice Tuesday and Wednesday, made it real challenge. And we tried to get him in a little bit against Washington, but we're still working through a couple things. So he's 100% healthy. He practiced full go Tuesday, practiced full go yesterday. So I would expect a lot more Justin Flo.
Okay, and then we talked earlier in the week about facing your former players on the other side. Have you had talked to your team at all about kind of avoiding some of the extracurriculars or the trash talk and things that might lead to post-whistle infractions or whatnot?
Yeah, I have, Michael. The message was decisions were made at the end of the season by certain players. Decisions were made by the staff. Decisions were made by the program. And we don't get into why people transferred and whether people were encouraged or discouraged to transfer. But I would say that this has to be about us. And we don't need to get caught up in the emotions of playing former players or former teammates, because if any of them have any aspirations to be in the National Football League, they will be doing that on a weekly basis. And if that is the case, and they're going to get wrapped up in the emotion of it, they will be cut from the NFL teams that they play at, because it's going to be a constant battle between, oh, this guy was on this team, now he's on that team, this guy was traded, this guy was picked up, this guy was a free agent, and all the things that go into their futures, that I would recommend just going out there and playing really good football. But there is certainly it's personal, let's say that. And the team understands that.